How you doing, YouTube? Matt with Massive Beer Reviews. Back with yet another review. A little bit of bourbon barrel aged old ale goodness from none other than Genesee Brewing, baby. How about that stuff? A little bit of sexy bourbon barrel aged Jenny for you. Never would have thought that, huh? You have everybody out there kind of being like, Jenny, you know, they make their Genesee Cream Ale, which is freaking fantastic. It was actually the 1,000th review I did was Genesee Cream Ale. Love that shit to no end. And everybody kind of sleeps on Jenny, but they throw a bunch of weird stuff out there, especially locally. And this is one of them. Big shout out to George. You know George, Massive Troll Reviews, done regular reviews with me. He has a pretty close ties with the upstate New York, more specifically the Rochester community and beer community, and he was up there and he picked this up and he dropped one on me, so thank you very much, George. Much appreciative. Let's dive into the sucker, see what she's got as far as what it says on this can. It says Genesee Pilot Batch. It's their brew house. It says Reisky and Spies, Bourbon Barrel Aged Old Ale. I want to say Reisky Spies. I just want to say that whole commie thing, but that's not the story. The story's on the back here. And it says Genesee Brew House Pilot Batch, Reisky and Spies, Bourbon Barrel Aged Old Ale. It says established in 1874. They're Reisky. I'm probably butchering that, so sorry, local people. It's probably Reisky or Reisky or whatever. Reisky, we're going to go with Reisky. Reisky and Spies Brewery flourished in the golden age of Rochester brewing when some 55 breweries opened in the city. When Mathis Condolph bought the brewery in 1878, he renamed it the Genesee Brewery. So there you go. That used to be Jenny's old name. How did I not know that? This beer is an homage to our rich history. Join us as we raise a can to toast the next golden age of Rochester beer. This old ale has been aged to perfection. Fucking Jenny throwing some fucking heat. In Kentucky bourbon barrels, rich complex malt notes of dark chocolate and subtle fruit pair perfectly with big flavors of bourbon, vanilla, and oak from barrel aging. Let's see, malt pale ale, chocolate caramel, and carafa 2. Hops Northern Brewer and I can never say that Holarata hops or whatever it is. 9 months in bourbon barrels. It's a nice time. I like a little bit longer, but, you know, beggars can't be choosers. And it's 10.3% alcohol by volume. Label-wise, it's fucking fantastic. It's got this solid black with a very kind of reflective, dark, deep, rich blue kind of background to it. I'm not even sure if you're going to pick it up on camera, but... And the fact that it's a bourbon barrel-aged old ale. It's not bourbon barrel-aged stout, you know? Not a bourbon barrel aged this. When's the last time you've seen an American brewery brew a bourbon barrel aged old ale? Who? North Coast? Old, you know, what is it? Old Hickory, maybe? A couple of them? Off the top of my head, I can't think of that many. So, Pinky Finger. Malted malt ball colored head. Nice creaminess, but at the same time, it's not uber creamy. And she's got a nice, rich, deep, dark brown meets mahogany kind of hue to her. You're not going to get a ton of light through her. But yeah, she's rich and she's deep and she's dark. Let's get that nose up in there. It's slightly watered down sugar daddy. So you're getting that sugar daddy vibes that I love in old ale, especially with a little bit of age on them. So you're getting a little bit of watered down. And I say watered down because it's not as robust as I like in the beer, especially for 10.3%. Kind of has a bit of thinness to the nose. So you're getting that watered down sugar daddy that has some kind of spiciness throughout it. It's like a herbally, earthy spiciness. I don't know if that's a hop thing. I think it actually might be a wood thing. I think it might be a smokiness that's just not coming off smoky. It's more of kind of a burnt kind of caramel thing going on. But yeah, that sugar daddy thing is all throughout there. I'm not really getting much heat at all from any kind of bourbon. It's more just kind of sweet, red, dark fruitiness. Caramel abounds, maybe a little bit of woodiness in there. I think that's where, like I said, that spiciness is coming from. But yeah, she definitely smells like a rich, deep, dark barrel-aged beer that's been sat for longer because of that heat not being there at all than the months. It was at 9 months they said it was in there. So I gotta dive in. Cheers. That doesn't suck at all in any form or fashion. That's a tasty beer. It's creepily drinkable. Let's put it that way. Listen, is it the best double-digit, barrel-aged, old ale, or English barley wine? Because that's kind of where you're getting in this direction. No. It's not the best I've ever had. But it's pretty damn good. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you this is the best thing I've ever had. It's not. You know what I mean? But is it far and away one of the more easily drinkable, digestible, well-made, just plain smile-invoking barrel-aged old ale or English barley wine I've had? Yeah, it's just fun. Do you want to call me biased? Call me biased. I love Jenny. I've always loved them. There's a soft place in my heart for them, warm place in my heart for them. And to see them doing things like this, or I shouldn't even say that, to see me getting things like this, because it's not so much that they've never done anything like this. They've always produced kind of beers like this, but being able to produce these to where they find me is pretty freaking awesome. Let's talk about the actual beer, though. It's an old ale. Through and through. Rich caramels, which is lending to that sugar daddy thing. Rich caramels. There's an extra sweetness there that's not like an overt sweetness that's making it even sweeter, but there's something else there, like a date figgy thing. Which is kind of like a hallmark of a lot of English old ales. They say old ale. I think it's more English old ale than anything else. Combine that with the barrel aging, you're getting a rich, deep kind of molasses thing from the barrel. I'm not saying it's kind of molasses-like in sweetness. I'm getting this kind of black strappy kind of thing kind of floating throughout the edges of it. But in a thin way. That's where this one actually, not to kind of jump right to the end and kind of talk about the negatives, but the thinness. It has this body issue that if it was a little beefier, I think the beer would be a little bit better. That's the biggest negative I'm going to give it, seeing it being not just otherworldly crazy, but, you know, you get that little bit of kind of molasses thing floating throughout there. You get that kind of sweet, dark fruit, generic dark fruity bourbon. It's not cherry, it's not anything else. There's no heat at all, but it just has that sugar daddy vibe going throughout it. A little bit of barrel, a little bit of smokiness, a little bit of char. I think that's kind of where that molasses thing is coming from. Not much wood there, maybe a slight little dryness from the wood, and that's pretty much it. It's tasty though. It's tasty. Like I said, the body is a bit thinner than I'd like it to be. It's not super thin. It's a little bit thinner than I'd like it to be, but at the same time, tasty beer. Listen, I got a bourbon barrel aged old ale in a pounder can from Jenny. Life was fucking excellent. If we're getting beers like this from Jenny, that means. And here's the thing. Not to keep going off on tangents, this will be your 15-minute review. But, you know, I was going to be like, from Jenny. And I shouldn't have said that. Because they kind of get a bad rap. They kind of get the rap as a macro kind of brewer. Even they do make beers like that. They're a very localized brewery. And they do just, I think, fucking fantastic things. I'm not going to gush over them. You know my love for Jenny. And just get back on point, which is, it's a really well done old ale. And that barrel aging is quite nice. The body. I just wanted a little bit more from it. For me, usually old ales, when they kind of barrel age them, they tend to get a little bit kind of this kind of raisinette thing going on. And I just don't have that in here, that sugar daddy thing going on. No. The raisinette thing can be an aged thing, and this is quite fresh. So I'll have to procure another can of this. It'll just sit for, I don't know, 5-10 years and then revisit it. But all in all, it's a fun beer from a brewery that does fun things. And honestly, I don't know anything about how much it costs, anything about distribution, but if you were to come across this and you like malt forward beers, if you like old ales or English barley wines, if you like your North Coast Old Stocks, your J.W. Lee's, your Thomas Hardy, I'm not putting it in that class. What I'm saying is it's giving you that kind of vibes, subtle vibes of that. So if you like that, it's worth picking up that way. I can't believe I began the end with the ending, but other than that, let's talk about it. Is it one of the better ones that I've had? I've actually covered all these points. I don't even know why I'm covering them again. Is it one of the better old ales that I've had bourbon barrel aged? No. Value and availability, no idea. And just say, like I said, if you like those kind of beers, it's definitely worth picking up. You guys can probably hear my cat freaking out and running around going crazy. So, anyway, there you go. Awesome beer. I've rambled throughout this one because there's just like too much emotion involved with Jenny when it comes to things like that. So hopefully you guys enjoyed me stumbling through this review. Hopefully you guys reach out if you have any questions or comments or anything like that down there. Check me out on social media, Massive Beers. Every social media, all one word, just plop it in there. And hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. Hopefully you're enjoying a nice Jenny right now. And hope to see you next time. Cheers.